and welcome to the SciFirst MovieTalk episode. In this episode, I'll be discussing the 2008 science fiction action movie Jumper, as directed by Doug Liman and based loosely on the 1992 novel of the same name by Stephen Gould. Now, before I want to get started with my review, I just want to give a big shout out to Factworms, who actually requested this review for me to review. Factworms is another YouTuber offering some very interesting and quirky facts across a broad kind of spectrum of topics. If you do have some time, please do check out their channel. I will leave a link to their channel in the description below, and I will also link a Factworms video to the end of this episode. So, Jumper then sees us introduced to David Rice, as played in the intro sequences by Max Thieriot. I can never get names right, can I? And then later by Hayden Christensen. I should start this again. Christensen, that's it, Christensen. Who I think I'm going to have to say that later on as well. Who's somewhat of a loner and the subject of a neglectful father. But plucks up the courage to ask out his childhood crush, Millie Harris, as played by AnnaSophia Robb. That's a better name. And in the intro sequence, in the intro sequences, and then later by Rachel Bilson. I should really edit this, shouldn't I? But things don't go quite to plan, and soon he kind of finds himself fighting for his life after falling through the ice on a nearby lake. However, in the panic, he suddenly teleports himself into the local library. Discovering his newfound ability can take him places he never thought possible, he realises that this is his ticket out of the rut of a life he's currently in, and a way into a new life with limitless possibilities. Turning to robbing banks, but at least leaving some IOUs, David has the world at his fingertips. However, little does he know, he's not the only one with the ability to teleport. Meeting another jumper, Griffin O'Connor, as played by Jamie Bell, in the process. And what's more, there's a secret organisation known as the Paladins, headed by Roland Cox, as played by Samuel L. Jackson, no less, who are determined to wipe the jumpers off the face of the earth. Finding himself caught between the one he loves, saving his own life, and entering the fight against the Paladins, David discovers the true extent of his powers, and indeed connections to his past that may hold the answers to the questions he has long since wondered. So, when you consider that this film was directed by Doug Liman, that's probably right, who brought us such movies prior to this as the 1996 movie Swingers, 2002's The Bourne Identity, and 2005's Mr. and Mrs. Smith, this film certainly held a lot of promise. However, it does fail to capture the kind of the gritty nature of The Bourne Identity, or the edgy and the kind of the fun nature of his other works. The acting is awkward. There is little on-screen chemistry between Christensen and Bilson, and really together they should have made this feature pop. But instead, most of the scenes are kind of clumsy and skitty, much like this review. Also, it seems like they're kind of just running it by the numbers. In fact, I actually preferred the performances from Thieriot and Robb at the start of the movie. For the brief time that they were on screen, they brought more passion and emotion to the roles than their older counterparts did. Shame. Not for them, but obviously for the counterparts. It is also one of those films that I think many people would find absolutely awesome the first time they watch it, and then upon a repeat watch would kind of find it just so. The problem is that there isn't really that much to the overall story that would continue to hold your attention on repeat viewings. For the potential that this film had, it did kind of seem lost. Lackluster, almost. It seemed concentrated on setting up for a sequel that will most likely never actually materialise. And in that, it kind of fails to capture any sincere hold on its main characters, we're kind of almost expected to accept them on face value with very little investment. But all is not lost at all. The locations and the cinematography are the film's redeeming feature by far. Some of these are simply stunning, and the premise of being able to go anywhere at any time is totally appealing. The premise of the story is absolutely fantastic, and it's that alone which kind of grabs my attention. The sci-fi concept is very appealing indeed, and there are some truly fun moments when David is learning to use his powers. This part of the film stands up well, but then kind of slowly disintegrates thereafter as it kind of becomes more run-of-the-mill and a bit more cookie-cut, if you like. There are also some reasonably strong performances from Jackson and Bell, with Bell offering some of the comedic elements, if you like, of the film. You know, he's simply great as the one-man fight against the Paladins. And Jackson, well, it's not one of his best performances, but is still on top form and gives the film an edge that it so desperately needed. Like the other characters, he's not really fleshed out, and that's disappointing given the mysterious nature of the organisation that he works for. But hey, you know, it's Samuel L. Jackson, so no complaints from me there. It was actually quite interesting to see him with white hair, though. The film also moves at a fairly brisk pace. It doesn't hang around at the beginning with a lengthy intro or complicated origin story. It's certainly uncomplicated in that respect. And in a film such as this, I do actually appreciate, you know, this. It got straight into the character using his powers, and from an action point of view, there weren't many dry spells. It was really a case of substance over style, however. Sometimes, though, you know, this is just the kind of film that you want to see. And admittedly, despite its flaws, it is still fantastic fun, you know, just for that premise alone. I would be lying if I said that I didn't enjoy the movie on at least some level. Overall, it is certainly a mixed bag. On the one hand, it feels unfinished, a setup for a sequel and not much substance overall. And on the other hand, you have an intriguing premise, some excellent visual effects and some stunning locations, you know, that continue to keep the movie moving and with a relatively light feel that will still entertain for the most part. It is a decent sci-fi adventure movie in that respect. It's just a shame that, you know, kind of given some of the talent that's involved in the movie, the idea itself, of course, and the potential for the story that it had, that we just didn't get more than what we got, which is a shame overall. I think if ever there was a film that actually deserved a sequel, this would actually be it. And I say this as genuinely, I think it would have actually been the better of the movies, which is rare, of course. With everything that got set up in this one, I think there would have been some very interesting directions that this sequel could have took. But we'll never know. So, that brings me to the end of this episode. Many thanks for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like. Please do hit that subscribe button for more movie reviews, trailer reactions, and other movie-related content. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's certainly been a tongue-twisting one for me. But otherwise, yes, thank you very much for watching. Definitely to have you back, and goodbye.